All right. Who remembers hearing that? Endlessly. Endlessly hearing that. I do. I was once addicted to this game when it first came out. Welcome back to Memory Lane. And today, our next stop is Temple Run. Yet another mobile game, but one big enough to talk about. So here we are, Temple Run. I remember when this game came out, man, and I played it because I saw a friend play it on his phone, and I was hooked instantly. You know, Temple Run is it's only it's not 20 years old, but it's over 10. I believe it originally came out. Yes, it came out in 2011. So it is a 15-year-old game, or just about. I think it'll be 15 exactly. I think in the summer. However, it's been around long enough and has been downloaded so many times, and we played it well enough to hey, it gets a spot here on memory lane. So, like I said, it was released in 2011. It is an endless runner mobile game created by Amanji Studios. The artwork was done by Kirill Changoff. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly or not, but it was created by a husband and wife team, Keith Shepard and Natalia Lakyanova. I have no idea if I said that right either. But once the game was released and it gained attention, Metacritic gave it its score of 80 out of 100, which is pretty good for a mobile game. It's really good. So it originally was released on iOS, the iPhones and iPads and whatnot, in August of 2011. And about a year later, in March of 2012, it came out for Android. And then a year after that, it came out on the Windows Phone. Now, when the game first came out, it struggled a bit, software-wise. It crashed a lot. It overheated your phone, drained your battery to all hell, and it just sometimes it just wouldn't even run. Now there were times where I was playing it after all the bugs and stuff were fixed. I remember it did lag a little bit. I had an Android, and it did lag quite a bit, so my jumps and shit would be delayed and messed up. But I think we all kind of faced that problem, but we still played the game because it was addicting. It was a fun, addicting game. Uh, so back to more facts here. When this game came out, it got so much attention. Like they made a sequel. Okay, Temple Run 2. There was even a Disney Pixar collaboration with this game. I believe it was Temple Run Brave after the Brave movie. They also had other games like Temple Run Treasure Hunters, and it even created some knockoffs. Like I remember one called Piggy Run. There were a couple others. I don't quite remember the names off the top of my head right now, but I do remember Piggy Run. Uh, not wasn't as good. But also there was like a bunch of activity books for kids, and even a board game. There was a Temple Run board game, which I didn't even know about until I did the research here. Now, when the game first came out and got its attention, it did manage to land on a list of top 50 most downloaded apps. And in 2013, it was nominated and received an award for the favorite app at the Kids' Choice Awards. And I believe also in 2013, there was also talks about a Temple Run movie with Warner Brothers. Obviously, that never saw the light of day, unless it did and it just went somewhere. It's nowhere to be found. But as far as I know, it was shot down. So let's talk about more about the game itself. Okay, so it's an endless runner, like I said. There's really no end. You just run and run, collecting coins and trying to get as far as you can. So this is literally a game based on high scores and just the fun of it. It was a good time wasting brain rot game. You just seek and escape an Aztec temple with a golden idol, and you're chased down by some demonic monkeys Again, there's no end. It's an endless runner. You just play until you die and rack up your points and all those coins. Those coins are currency, so you can use those coins to buy upgrades for your characters or buy uh, characters themselves. There was more than just one character. You can unlock other players, unlock other characters. And let's talk about some of the characters. Uh, I have a list of all the characters that you were able to play as in the first Temple run, starting with Guy Dangerous. Guy Dangerous is just your basic explorer. He's the guy you start off as. As soon as you download the game, click play, that's him. That's Guy Dangerous. And then you have Scarlet Fox, who's an escape artist. Then you have Barry Bones, a police officer. Then you have Karma Lee, the fastest runner in the Far East. Then you have Montana Smith, the second greatest explorer ever. And I believe that was a nod to Indiana Jones, as Indiana Jones would probably be the first greatest explorer ever. Then you have Francisco Montoya, a Spanish conquistador, and then you have Zach Wonder, a football star. So you have a good list of people to play as, and just like in any other game like this, everyone has different stats, abilities, and whatnot. Like some people were faster runners, better jumpers, had better balance, which all that. Sure, you can upgrade all that stuff and have power ups or upgrade the person you're currently playing as to give them better stats. But this is kind of where this game really shined because it used everything that it could use on a mobile device, like an iPhone or an Android or what have you. So of course you would use the touchscreen because you wouldn't just running. So the character will run automatically. You're not making them run; that the person runs by themselves. What you do is just tell them what to do as they're running: jump, slide, or go to lean to the left, lean to the right. So if you wanted to jump, you would just swipe up on the phone. Just swipe up, he'll jump up. If you want to slide, you just swipe down, they'll slide. And if you wanted to lean to the left or lean to the right, because sometimes the path that you're running on, like half of it be gone, so it'll only be like the other half left, so you have to go to that side so you don't fall off the map. And so what you would do is you would tilt your phone in that direction. So it was using motion controls of your phone to operate and move your character, which was cool. Not a whole lot of mobile games back then, if any, really did that. It was all just touchscreen. Use your finger. But no, this thing made you physically move the phone around to move your character to help, progress in the level. There was a time where I was playing this, and I thought it was cool, you know, because this was, I mean, kinda, this kinda was the time of motion controls being huge, because you had the Nintendo Wii, and then you had the Wii U, which had motion controls. The PS3 had motion controls with the controller, and then eventually came out with the PlayStation Move, and then the Xbox 360 had a Kinect. And then I think this is the time that VR started getting big. Like I remember a lot of YouTubers having the Oculus Rift. So there was a lot of, motion sensor, motion based movement in games were starting to come up, you know. And this was one of them to really utilize that motion pretty good. I didn't hate it. I thought it was cool. I just hate it when it would lag and I had my phone basically all the way to the left, practically breaking my wrist, and the guy's still running straight and falls off the damn cliff. But yeah, I still thought it was cool. I still played it until I just got tired of playing it. Uh, so there is no end to the game, like I stated before, and the only way the game would end is if you die. And the only ways you can die is if like you fall off the edge or you fall off the map, whatever. You run into a tree or a wall. I think there was a wall. There were the trees for sure. And if you get tripped up and the demonic monkeys capture you and eat you up. That's really it. There's only three ways of going about death. You hit something, you get caught by the monkeys, or you just fall off the damn thing. Plain and simple. Simple game. Everyone I know had it. It was a fun game. It was really addicting, and it stood the test of time for a while. Like for a while, when other games start going mobile, like when Angry Birds started coming out with other games, and eventually there was another game that came out called Flappy Bird, which will get a episode sometime in the future, and that took over. You know, and it's also up there, like a Fruit Ninja, Cut the Rope, uh, Flow Free. I remember playing a Flow game. You had the color lines, you connect the dots and shit. And then just some of your basic classic computer games. Like I know a lot of people had like Solitaire. I played Solitaire a lot. Geometry Dash, I think, came out around this time too, and that game was fun as hell when it first came out on mobile. I think Minecraft hit mobile too around this time, maybe a little later. But it had competition on mobile games and mobile sales and whatnot. Because I know people would buy. I think there were microtransactions on this game where you could buy stuff. If you wanted to play as Montana Smith, the second greatest explorer ever, and you didn't have enough currency in the game, well, whip out your credit card and buy Montana. I never did microtransactions. I still to this day I don't much care for them to do upgrades. Just play the game until you get tired of it. Because really, it's like, are they really that much different? Because the monkeys that are chasing you are going to be just as fast because it's an endless runner. There's no end. There's no way to like get away from them. You just run until you die. So I never really understood that, but they made their money. Hell, if they didn't make their money off downloads alone, they sure got it from microtransactions as well. Temple Run it was ranking in downloads, it was ranking in money, attention, views, numbers. It was it was hot. It was a hot game when it came out. Like I said earlier, I was addicted to it. I played the shit out of it. Fucking phone felt like it was gonna blow up because it was so hot. Because it pushed my phone to its limits. I'm sure it pushed many of yours to the limits as well. But I would not stop playing this game. I just kept going through. It's like, oh, give me these coins, give me these coins. And then once you get further into the level or further into the game, you would see there's different color coins. So in the different colors were different like points. So I believe there was your standard gold coins, which were just one apiece, 1 point apiece. There were blue ones, and there were red ones as well. I want to say the blue ones were 2 points, the red ones were three, but it could be wrong. It could be 2 and 5 or 3 and 5 or 2 and 3. I don't quite remember, but I do know the different color coins were worth more points. Help build up your currency. So the longer you play, obviously, the more coins you would receive, the more points you would get, the more currency you could have to unlock stuff in the game, power ups, players. I think costumes too. Didn't they all have different skins, different costumes? Like you could have changed whatever they were wearing. One thing I will say about this game, there was a sense of like satisfaction. It was so satisfying where if you were to jump over a gap, or if you were to lean all the way to the left or lean all the way to the right, and you collect every single coin from start to finish on whatever line that they had, like to me, it was always satisfying to not miss a single coin. As a person who grew up playing old school platformers like Super Mario and Sonic the Hedgehog, it was always a thing. Collect the coins. You know, you collect the coins. You didn't have to beat the level or beat the game, but it was worthwhile. Of course, in those games, with Sonic, coins, you know, were kind of just like life extenders, you know, because if you have like 100 coins in Sonic and you get hit, sure you lose a lot of them coins, but you're not dead. You just lost coins. Go collect more coins. The only time when you die in Sonic, if you lose all your coins, you're down to 0 coins when you get hit, you'll die. In Mario, you collect 100 coins, you get a new life. You know, in Temple Run, you collect 100 coins. Well, you just collected 100 coins that you can use towards buying something. But there really was no other purpose to those coins other than just to get them to help unlock stuff in the game. It really did feel like you were moving faster with certain power ups and specials. I can't remember one, but I do remember one that was always my favorite. It was one like super speed. You were running really fast. You had this multicolored force field around you, and you were just running through as fast as you can. And you weren't controlling shit. The player itself was running through the level until it stopped, and then it's back in your hands. I always loved that because like it always felt like I was so far away from the monkeys, but they were right behind me. They kept up with me the whole time. That's just the whole premise of the game. Is just to run until you die. You know. But when I get that special and I run real fast, I run through the trees, through the branches, through the stuff. It always manages to go away and stop when like there's a gap or there's a wall or there's a tree or something, and boom, that's it. Like my reaction time is not that fast because it for a good period of that time he was controlling himself and it just stops. Now it's back in your hands. Now you're back in control. Like, well, shit, you know, you just kind of fucked me over with that. But I still loved it. I still loved it. Oh, give me that. Give me that super speed. One thing I would also love about this game is that there were certain levels that had different paths. So like if you can continue going straight or you can turn right or turn left, and it just take you to a different path. Like it mattered because there wasn't any like there wasn't no secrets, there was no, other things to collect. You were just going a different way. There was no end. You just chose like, okay, let's go right. Okay, well there's more gaps to right. Or if you go left, okay, there's less gaps. And if you continue going straight, there's more gaps and less coins. It was just something that was just slightly different from each path, but it really felt like you were doing something. When you weren't, you were just running. You were running. That's all you were doing. You know, I this was this game. I remember this game came out, man. I was in high school, and all of us would get in trouble for having our phones out, of course. But it's either we were texting or we were playing games. This was one of the games we would always play. It would be this, Angry Birds, Flappy Bird, you know, just stuff like that. Those brain rot type games. It was a good time killer. It really was a good time killer. And I was like, okay, well, I got 10 minutes to burn. Let's see what I can do in Temple Run. Why not? Sure, you know, 10 minutes ago I had 100% battery. Now I'm at 6%. But hey, them 10 minutes flew by fast as hell. About as fast as my battery did. Phone's hot, smoking, fire shooting out of the damn audio jack. You plug your headphones in. Like it got a burn on my hand, skin peeling. It was all right, I didn't care. I had fun. Nowadays I'm not too big on mobile games, but I'm talking about the games that I do remember playing quite a bit. There's not going to be a whole lot of them on memory lane here. There's going to be a few, but not a ton. And Temple Run is one of them, obviously, because here's the episode, and you won't be listening to this episode and not knowing what Temple Run is, or played it, or heard of it, or seen it. Either you've seen your brother or sister play it, your cousins, your friends, yourself, your parents, your kids. It was a fast-paced, moving game that was fun, addicting, kept your attention. It was one of those games where it just kept drawing you back in. It's like, you know what, I just gotta I gotta keep going. Let me try again. Let me try again. It did a good job at that. Not a whole lot of mobile games do. A lot of mobile games are just time wasters. Like, okay, here's this game. You get 5 minutes to spare. Here you go. Here's your 5 minutes. But Temple Run was not like that at all. I mean, sure, yeah, burn up 5 minutes, but you just like, damn, I wish I had 5 more minutes. Like I got to get further. Like I'm just like 400 points away from getting enough coins or points or whatever to unlock this next character. Like I got to do it. I got to get those 400 coins. And it may take you like 12 tries because, like, let's say the first run you get 12 coins, the second one you get 200, but you kept running into a wall, or you kept getting caught by the demonic monkeys, or you kept getting, smashed into a wall or a tree, you know. It it did a good job of drawing in its audience, drawing in the player, and just consistently uh, nagging at them to play. I remember when I had Temple Run on my phone one time, and I hadn't played it in a while because I kind of ran that well dry. But it would send me notifications like Temple Run. I would get a notification on my phone from Temple Run said, "Hey, you haven't played in a while. Why don't you go ahead and fire the app back up?" Like it would even send you notifications saying, "Hey, you haven't touched us in a while. Give us attention." It's cool, even though it's only been like 2 hours since I last played. I got to put my phone in the freezer in a bucket of water just to cool it down to play you again. But hey, it was crazy. There wasn't a whole lot of apps or games on mobile back then that did that. That kind of just like nudged you and annoyed you like a little sibling, like a little brother. Like, hey, 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 play with me, play with me. you know, there wasn't a whole lot of games that did that, but Temple Run did. Eventually, that's what caused me to delete it. Like I said, I ran that well dry. I was kind of wasn't getting into mobile gaming anymore, and it took up quite a bit of space on your phone. It's a hefty app, but like it just kept sending me, my phone going zzz, zzz, zzz. It's all Temple Run. Hey, play with me, play with me. Hey, hey. All right, you're gone. You gotta calm down with that shit. I'm trying to sleep. But that's the only one big negative thing about it too. Sure, you can turn off notifications, which I did, but it's just get rid of it. I'm not playing with the app. But at the time it came out, like I said earlier, it was hot. It was a hot app. It was that game. It was a game to play. That and Angry Birds, like it kind of gave Angry Birds a ran for its money for a while due to how many downloads it got and how fast it hit those milestones and how addicting the game was and how many people were talking about it. I think there was some merchandise, and like I said, there were talks about a movie with Warner Brothers back in 2013, just 2 years after the game was initially released. We didn't get an Angry Birds movie until fucking years after the original game was released. But to the credit of Imanji Studios, I think I'm saying that right. Imangi. Imanji Studios to bring this game to the forefront with this small team of people with this idea and brought it to life and gave all of us adolescents something to do other than just, you know, stare at a blank Facebook page or whatever. It was cool to have. It was a cool game to have. It was cool how it was controlled, how you played the game with of course the touchscreen. That's just inevitable. It's a touchscreen device, but also like with the motion controls, and the sound effects. The sound effects would always make me laugh because it had that music like you heard in the beginning here, and it would play throughout the entire game. That's all you would hear was just those bongo drums or whatever type of drums they were. But then you also hear your guy, the person you're playing as, your character, and every time they would jump or slide, you would just hear them huh, ha, huh, ha, huh, huh. every every time every time you swipe up, and it's just it's when I found when I found the audio for the Temple Run music that I used in the beginning here, it was just kind of weird because I was expecting to hear like when you first start at the game, you hear the monkeys, you know, make their noise as they're chasing you, and then you hear your character, it was just the music by itself. I was like, oh, this is a little weird. No, I'm not just not used to hearing it by itself, you know. And eventually, that music did get annoying after a while. I did remember turning off the music or just turning it down, but I kept the sound effects. So now it's quiet, and just every 10 seconds, you would just hear huh, huh, ha, huh. Which I don't know if it made it better or worse, but I don't know what was more annoying. Then I played the game on silence, and then that's just kind of led to like I'm just kind of done with the game. Like it's annoying. There's no end to it, which I kind of figured out by many times as I played it. many people I've unlocked. Like that's really just a goal, is just unlock as many people as you can, get the best high score you can, collect as many coins. There really was no ulterior motive other than just to play the game and rack up the numbers. Plain and simple. You know, I believe there was supposed to be, either there was or there was supposed to be an arcade version of this. So like, of course at the time, the early 2010, early to mid 2010s, you go to somewhere like Incredible Pizza or Dave and Buster's or something like that, and they'll have a Temple Run arcade cabinet, you know, where you would use a trackball or something. I don't know. I've never seen it. Supposedly there was an arcade game. I've personally never seen it in person, so I have no idea. If you have, what was it? Was it a trackball to make the person jump or slide, go left or right? Was it a joystick and a button? I don't know. Those are the only two best ways I can think this game would operate on an arcade cabinet like that. Other than that, I really don't know. Wasn't it a touchscreen arcade I remember that. There were some games that had touchscreen arcades, so you can go to, one of those places I named off and play like Fruit Ninja. Yeah, maybe that's what they did. Maybe they did that, which is like one ginormous iPad where you played Temple Run on a big screen with touchscreen controls. Maybe that's how they did it. I don't know. Like I said, I've never seen it in person. Don't know where it would be at. Places like Incredible Pizza and Dave and Buster's, that'd probably be the best place to put it. You know, People of all ages there, very familiar with that game. Like your target audience is right there. Why not? I don't know. I think I said all I can say with this game. I did play Temple Run 2 when it came out. I played a little bit of it. It really was no different other than just like there was slightly different characters, and I think there was different music. But other than that, I think it was a different like terrain you were running on too. But other than that, it was the same game. Just another endless runner collecting coins, power ups, players. Just the original Temple Run with some polish on it. That's really all Temple Run 2 really was. The other games I named off, like the Brave, Temple Run Brave with the Disney Pixar collab, never played it. Never played Temple Run Treasure Hunters. And I never played the, Piggy Run I played for like 2 seconds and I deleted it. But, this is nostalgic enough to talk about a memory lane. Like I said, it received so many downloads, so many people played it for many, many hours, for many, many days. It got a spot here on memory lane, just like last week's episode was about Angry Birds. Angry Birds, still to this day, it's still talked about. They're coming out with a new movie sometime this year of Angry Birds. It's this game here, even though it was mobile and it was strictly mobile, it didn't get a physical port to like PlayStation or nothing like Angry Birds did. But it stuck around long enough, and we've played it long enough, and on as many devices as possible, and has the stats to prove that it could be here on memory lane, here at one of the early destinations. I don't know. I don't know, because I don't know if it's still on the App Store. I never really looked for it. But if it is, I don't know. Is it still playable today as it was 10 years ago? 10, 15 years ago? You tell me. You tell me. Drop some comments. Share this show with your friends. Let them know. Like, hey, here's this dude that's just pretty down to earth talking about some games that we all grew up with. Sure, I'll check them out. Now give me a follow. Rate the show. Give the show some good ratings. I'm new at this, but hey, we're 5 episodes deep. Well, I have 5 episodes up here, 4 about games. The first one is just a very basic intro, this show in a nutshell, what my plans are. Be sure to follow my YouTube, Kevin Gill Gaming. It's got the same spelling and the same profile picture. Go up there and watch me play some Super Mario World, or The Evil Within, or some random Flash game that I came across on like Newgrounds or something. It's a good time. Very basic, you know. But thank you all for listening. Memory Lane, Every Sunday, I'll upload a new episode, so keep in touch with my show. Follow everything. Follow my socials. Instagram, Facebook, Kevin Gill Gaming, all have the same profile picture, so it's easy to find me. And just keep up. Every Sunday, new episode. I'm out.